Okay, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us. We are going to chat today about how to maintain good health practices throughout the summer. And my name is Sarah Klein. I'll introduce myself, and we have Dr. Nicola on as well.
Hi.
Great. So, all right, let's kind of dive in here. Okay, so I'll start, and I'm going to provide you guys with kind of my top 3 favorite tips regarding health practices over the summer, and then Nicola will give her top 3 tips after that. So I probably know most of you, either watching the call or on the call, but I live in Durango, Colorado. I practice integrative nutrition. I'm a very avid yogi. The company is called Whole Health Lab, and I'm the co-founder of the 30-Day Clean Living Challenge, which we are currently halfway through and have an awesome group of committed clean livers going on. My kind of personal and professional belief is that health goes much deeper than what we eat. It's a balanced recipe between the way that we move our bodies, our exercise routines, the types of food that we feed us, and figuring out what foods feed us as individuals, not just what the latest fad diet is, how we talk to ourselves, our thought patterns, healthy relationships, and meaningful, purposeful work. And so how I kind of deliver that is through this idea of a 3 or 5 pillar approach. I believe that the 3 pillars to health are clean eating, movement, and mindfulness. And then I'm constantly kind of trying to get to the bottom of why do we do what we do when we know what we know. And I am a strong believer that kind of the answer to that would be support and accountability. Usually tend to make consistency happen around health practices. All right. So summer tends to bring a new rhythm to our life. And there are some aspects about summer when we're talking about health habits that we tend to do really, really well. Summer, we tend to do outside more. We tend to get more movement in. We're more social, which always impacts our health positively. We can eat lighter because lighter foods tend to taste better. Fresh fruits and salads. We have access more to whole, clean foods. We tend to disconnect from social media a little bit more and again, spend more time outside. So there's many things about the summer that we do tend to do really well when it comes to health practices. But what I personally find in my life, as well as with many of my clients, is with summer, there's way more social demand. So there's weddings to attend. There's this sense of kind of a busy, full social calendar. And often that social calendar is really associated with eating. And this can kind of wreak havoc on our routine and our health habits. And kind of the lack of routine, which is really something so attractive about the summer, can also mess with like our sleeping habits, our movement habits, our consistency really around our health practices. So this is a big thing that I tend to talk about with my clients. And it starts around this time of year with the anticipation of school getting out. So that's why we decided to kind of do this presentation. And these would be kind of my top tips. So number 1 is being a badass meal planner. You want to meal plan like a pro. Now, what you buy, you eat, right? What is in that fridge, you eat. So if you buy healthy, and I know this sounds elementary, but it's always good to hear. If you buy healthy foods, you're going to eat healthy foods. And so I found some research. It's actually gatheredtable.com, and they have a lot of meal planning tips and tricks. And they did a little research on the actual benefits of meal planning. There's not a lot of strong, scholarly research on the benefits of meal planning, but I think on some level we all know this. So I was glad to pull out some numbers. But a week without a plan, they said we wasted 3 extra hours, whether that was in going to the grocery store, more trips than originally planned, spending more time in the grocery store, or the kind of that question that I just personally hate so much. What should we eat for dinner tonight at like 5:30 when you're starving and your blood sugar is crashing? I will do anything to avoid that personally. They also showed that you wasted about at minimal $50, but I think that we could probably argue that a week without a plan is probably higher than $50. You're probably going to eat out more. You're going to throw away more food, and yeah. So then they also said that, and this one's kind of, I don't know how well we can test this, but healthy dinners go with a meal plan from 7 dinners to maybe 1 or 2. So a week without a plan is not your most ideal of situations. So, and then also an unmeasurable aspect is the amount of decreased stress that we have when we have a strong meal plan. I heard a quote, and I feel like it was from like a grandma, where it was like, security is frozen soup in the fridge, in the freezer. And it's always stuck with me, that a week with a plan, just everything goes better. And I say this to my clients a lot, there's really, if you want to work on increasing the health around your diet, you need to create a strong meal planning routine. And it doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be super, super simple, but just build a routine that works for you. So I'm going to flip to the slides, and I know the people who are on live right now are calling in. I have put up my kind of very A-type way to grocery planning, and I teach it this way solely so that we can get the skills down. Do I use it to this extent every week? Absolutely not. But these are kind of tools and tips that I integrate every week. And I'll send this out in the follow-up email with the recording so that you guys can all have it and use it if you'd like. So when I start my meal planning, I pull out my calendar for the week. And I actually start by putting out the days of the week. And the idea of this is so that we can be really realistic on our meal planning. If I teach yoga, for example, Tuesday night, and I don't get home to eat, I'm going to have either leftovers prepared for myself, or I'm going to have a really quick and simple dinner, right? Otherwise, I'm going to end up going out, spending more money, and not eating as healthfully. Another reason I kind of go across the days of the week is this idea of cook once, eat twice or more. Now, from an Ayurvedic standpoint, I'm just going to make sure there. Okay, cool. From an Ayurvedic standpoint, cooked vegetables don't really hold their nutrition density for very long, but things like whole grains and legumes and animal proteins tend to. So one trick that I do pretty much every single week, and is just one of my favorite tricks, is at the beginning of the week, picking a whole grain and batch cooking it. So I'll throw it in my rice cooker and I'll cook, like 3 cups or 2 cups for the week, depending on, and then I'll see how long I can stretch that out. So to kind of use an example, say I did that Monday night and I made a stir fry with brown rice. Then Tuesday I would throw some of my brown rice in a fresh salad to make it more hearty. Then Wednesday, maybe I'll do a piece of salmon with brown rice as a side. And then maybe Thursday morning, I'll make a brown rice porridge with some nut milk, nuts, and make that as a breakfast. But when you kind of step back and look at the whole week, you have the opportunity to really plan out that cook once, eat twice. Soups are also great to stretch, but this will save you so much time, so much money, and so it will decrease your anxiety around mealtime, which is critical when days are longer, nights are busy, people are coming in and out. You want to just make sure that you have a good solid plan for yourself. then if you are looking at the slide, as you kind of move your way up this sheet, the next would be a new recipe. And this is where, if I have my schedule in front of me while I'm meal planning, I can take the time to bring a little more creativity into the kitchen to keep it fun and exciting. But saying that, not every week do I try a new recipe. It's only if I have time to kind of play around with that. But that's a reminder of, bringing the creativity into the kitchen. Then I also have shop your kitchen. And this one's huge. I mean, again, it sounds elementary, but it's good reminders in the sense that don't buy stuff that you already have. If you have 3 cans of black beans that have been sitting there for a month, use those. Like, plan out how you're going to use them for the week. And again, this is where kind of the mindfulness and the, extra 10 to 15 minutes that it takes can really, really add up over time. And then when I'm making my actual grocery list, I divide it according to where things are in the grocery store so that I can get in and get out and not forget anything. So I'll send that out to you guys. And if you have any other questions on that, I'm happy to answer. But that has really been just a huge time and money and stress saving, as well as it dramatically increases the health of my meals when I sit down and plan them.
And one thing that I found from my meal plan is you can buy chalkboard adhesive, and you can cut it to fit the inside of your cabinet. And so I actually have a chalkboard that's inside of one of my cabinets in the kitchen. So I open it up and I chalkboard write everything. So I have it there, but it's not like whiteboard and chalkboard and stuff all over my kitchen. Like, I still have clean lines in my kitchen, but it's open. So I can open the cabinet and I meal plan inside. And then if people want to know what's for dinner, they kind of just open it up and see what's in there. And then on the other side, I'll have a little, like a notepad for a shopping list. So I can just jot stuff down. And that way it's not in my kitchen. It is in my kitchen, but I don't see it. It's not clutter.
I love that.
Yeah. And it's super cheap. You just buy a sticky roll of chalkboard adhesive stuff. And I also got chalkboard spray paint, but my fiance wasn't as excited about me doing that to her brand new cabinet. So this stuff just sticks on and peels right off if you don't want it anymore. So.
Cool. Yeah, no, I've definitely used that paint before too, which is kind of fun. That's a great idea. That's a great idea. And you can kind of just wipe it away.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so tip number 2, and this one addresses kind of the increase in our social outings during the summer months, is ruin your appetite. Now, I feel like we are all trained to think, if you're going out to dinner or you're going to a dinner party, to make sure you don't eat before so that you can, really eat then. But nobody makes a good decision when their blood sugar is low. So if you are really hungry and you show up at a restaurant, you're not going to pick the healthiest food. Nobody is. I don't care how well your great your willpower is. And plus, if you're using willpower, you're really swimming upstream, and it's not necessarily super sustainable. So a great snack, or you're going to hit the breadbasket, right? In the sense of, oh my God, I'm going to chew my arm off here. So a great snack is a healthy fat and a healthy lean protein. So some olives and some nuts, just something light, maybe a smoothie. You could also grab some veggies, but really that healthy fat and lean protein will help to stabilize your blood sugar, so that when you arrive at the dinner, you're able to eat more mindfully. And so with that was kind of talking about going out to dinner, but it holds the same for when you're going to a party and you know that there's going to be a lot of your trigger foods. Maybe there's, it's a buffet of food. There's going to be a lot of desserts, a lot of sugar, a lot of refined carbohydrates. Stabilize your blood sugar before so that you can make more mindful decisions. And then in those kind of party atmospheres, think of that there's a lot of grazing of food. Think of 1 or 1.5 plates. So if you were eating at home and having a healthy dinner, you probably wouldn't have more than a plate and a half of food. But what tends to happen is when we're kind of mindlessly eating at these parties and grazing, before we know it, we've had 3 plates of food, but we had it over a long period of time, but so we didn't really realize. So if you vision, okay, that salad looks really good, and I know that I'm going to want whatever's coming off the grill, and I know I'm going to want a little dessert or whatever, picture the whole thing, including the appetizers, on one plate. And you can kind of use that visual to decrease the amount that one would eat. Also, focus on the conversations versus the food. And I think we can all take that as a lesson when we're out and there's all these triggers and we kind of get sucked into the food. But make it about the social gathering versus the food. Let's see what else. And bring a healthy dish. I am a huge fan of the spiralizer. And if you don't have a spiralizer, I highly recommend going and getting one. And this might be because I come from an American Italian family and pasta was just such a big staple that I can still have like all of my favorite sauces, but I can do them over veggies. But the spiralizer has an amazing presentation. You can bring a really, really beautiful spiralized veggie dish that is super healthy and will impress everybody and takes no time. And if you go to inspiralized.com, she has amazing recipes. So get yourself a staple summer salad fun dish that you can bring, and then that you have one healthy option at your events and at your parties. Also, this is a conversation I was just having with a client who just walked out of my office, is when we fall off the track, which tends to happen during the summer, maybe you were on vacation and there was just like a lot of excess. A couple of things that help us get back up into our health practices is to think of restoring your gut after kind of a busy, crazy week. And this happens to me all the time. Like when I go back east to visit my family and we're just indulging a lot, I get back home and I feel like my stomach has stretched and all I want to do is continuously eat all those bad indulgences. So give yourself 2 days and load up on probiotics, load up on fermented foods. You'll be able to balance the gut flora and then start to really crowd out those cravings. So just know kind of what your tools and your tricks are when you get off track after a couple days in a row, and just give yourself a little space, drop the guilt. There's some really interesting research that shows that when we have a lot of guilt from indulgence, we actually will continuously binge eating for days after the indulgence, versus when we drop the guilt 100%, we'll drop the binge as well. So, I say this all the time, but guilt is not a vitamin and doesn't really belong in any of our meals. So, know that summertime sometimes means more indulgences, and that's okay, but just what are your tips and your tricks that get you back into your rhythm quickly and with ease? All right. And then the last tip is kind of more for the moms out there and the dads with kids. We think summer, more time outside, more activities for kids, but there's actually a lot of research that shows that kids actually gain weight during the summer months versus the school year. And so this research that came out of Michigan State, which was concluded that during the summer vacation, children gained 3 times as much weight as they did during the school year. And so that is that's a little alarming in the sense of what are our kids doing during these warm months, and how can we make them healthful as well as fun and active. And this is something I work with a lot of my moms, is just stepping back, pulling out the calendar and really creating some structure around these long days where if your kids don't necessarily have good plans going on throughout the summer and a lot of activities to engage in. There's going to be more mindless eating, more time in the kitchen, more time on electronics and video games or whatever it may be. So, really take some time before summer hits and the kids get out of school to arrange your summer. What activities can you get them enrolled in? How can you make movement a daily activity for both you and your kids? How can you decrease mindless snacking? And again, and this is just like a simple trick, but it works wonders for my moms who are trying to kind of get more fruits and vegetables into their kids' diets. What you put out, they will eat. So if you have a cookie jar on your counter, they're going to eat the cookies. But if you have a fresh bowl of fruit and some already chopped up vegetables, they're going to eat those. And also, if you have little ones, where their eyes are in the cabinet, that's what they're going to grab for. So if you have all the junk food right at their vision, that's what they're going to go for. So get that stuff high and put the good stuff low where they can see it and grab it when they need a snack. And all of this, so kind of the tip is to create low-key structure, is to make the summer months more fun. All right, that's what I got for you.
All right, thanks, Sarah. My name is Nicola St. Mary. I'm a naturopathic doc, and I think you guys probably know me too, but I do have a private practice called Pure Vita Natural Healthcare here in Durango. And, really, my focus is really on mind-body connection. And so healthy eating and mindful eating is a huge part of that, and moving the body and just listening to what the body's cues in order to restore and maintain balance. And so really, it doesn't matter what diagnoses we've received or how old we were, what we bring from our past. I really, truly believe that everybody has the ability to live a fully vital life, regardless of what we might have experienced in the past, and that it doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be expensive. There's a lot of really quite simple and powerful interventions that we tend to overlook in our complicated, technologically based age, that can get us back into balance. And the most important thing here too, especially when we talk about food, because with food, there's so many emotions that come with our food choices, positive or negative, that we really need to, like Sarah said, let go of that guilt. It just doesn't really have a place at the table, and really just being honest with ourselves and meeting someone exactly where they're at. I've had people where, we've had to move out of ketchup being a vegetable. And that's just part of where some people are at. And they were like, well, that counts, doesn't it? French fries and ketchup, that's two veggies. And there's no judgment there, but just being honest about where we're starting and trying to make small, sustainable steps in the direction of health, rather than trying to, throw out everything in our kitchen and start with foods that we don't recognize, or we don't know how to cook or anything like that. So, can I just? Okay. I wasn't sure if I could afford it. So the first tip that I have for you guys is that, similar to what Sarah said, if you have healthy stuff in the house, it's infinitely easier. So in the summer, we don't feel like cooking. It's hot. We ran out of time. We stayed at the pool a little bit extra. And so if we've got stuff in the house that's already prepped, that can be really, really helpful. So beyond what Sarah said, which is all great advice around making good choices around what to stock your house with, what could you do ahead of time? One of my favorite things and my son's favorite things is making coconut water popsicles. It's as easy as cracking a can of coconut, putting them in the little, popsicle forms, and then he sticks whatever berries or, fruits or whatever, and he likes to see all the different combos he can make. And then it's fun too when he's eating them, because as the popsicle melts and he gets some fruit in there too. And it's really pretty, as you can see from this photo here, or if you can't see the photo, there's all sorts of berries, and it just really livens it up. And coconut water is a really great electrolyte replacement, and so most of us get a little dehydrated over the summer, especially if we're active. And so the coconut water is a really nice way to well hydrate our cells and kind of cut down on some of that sugar. Coconut water isn't without sugar, but it's in a much healthier form. Chopping up veggies and just having them. My mom always used to have chopped up carrots, or celery, and she put them in a little cup with a little water in the bottom, and then they were just always in there. And again, like Sarah said, putting them on the low shelf, so if you or your kids are looking in the fridge, they're right front and center. Stuff like frozen grapes or frozen meals. I was pretty amazed how online, when I was doing a little research for this webinar, how many amazing websites there are about making frozen meals, or at least chopping everything up and prepping everything and then putting it in a Zippy and freezing it, and then you just open the Zippy, dump it in a pot or a stir fry pan or whatever, and it's just done. And so setting yourself up for success by thinking it through, when you have time, or maybe over a weekend, or maybe you're prepping something, maybe prep twice as much and just freeze some of it, so that on those nights where it's 5:30 and everyone's blood sugar is dropping and you don't know what to do for dinner because you haven't done your meal plan this week, which happens, I can attest to, you have some really good options that are already available and can be ready in 15 minutes or less. And then next tip, and the next really concept, is that on the go doesn't have to mean less healthy. And I see this all the time with folks that I'm working with, where they're like, well, I didn't have time to prep anything, so I had to pick up fast food, or I had to pick up, I just ate chips instead, or I went to the gas station and grabbed something. And the truth of it is that we don't necessarily, if we can give it, again, a little bit of thought and think about, what does my local grocery store have? Like, a lot of grocery stores have pre-peeled hard-boiled eggs that you can just go and buy one. So you can just, there's things that you can do, especially when you're hungry or on, making good choices. And because we tend to be busier in the summer, we do need more grab and go options, be it for a picnic or an impromptu barbecue, or kids are in more activities, or we decide to, at least in Durango, go down by the river. It's really nice to have easy picnic stuff available. So some ideas are kale and beet chips. Those are very, very easy to make. They're pretty expensive to buy in the store. And given, if you've ever made them, how easy they are to make, it's kind of shocking how expensive they are in the store. But there's really, really good nutrition in there, and they're very simple. It can be as simple as slicing up some beets, tossing them with olive oil and salt, and roasting them on really low for a while. And they'll keep for a couple of weeks, honestly, at least my experience has been. Again, going back to those chopped veggies and having hummus or black bean dip or guacamole, stuff that we can jazz up our veggies with by having things on hand. I think we always also forget about jerky and nuts and seeds, using romaine lettuce as a wrap instead of a heavier roll or bread or something like that. And romaine lettuce actually travels quite well. If you wash it and prep it before you go and you stick it in a plastic bag, you can arrive at your picnic even if you've backpacked, and it's pretty crisp and fresh and ready to go. So it's a hearty little thing, and so we don't have to worry about crackers and chips and other vehicles for our egg salad, potato salad, guacamole, whatever we want. Things like chia puddings is one of my favorite things to make ahead of time. I just have these little mason jars in my fridge, either the little 4-ounce or 8-ounce ones, and I'll just make a huge batch of them, a dozen or 2 dozen of them, and then we just have them. And if we need something that's healthy and on the go, and a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of sweet, and a lot of good fats, I really recommend having those chia puddings ready to go. Again, they're just so easy and transportable. Egg cup frittatas are another thing. So I think most of us know what a frittata is. It's just, you just scramble up a bunch of eggs and put in your veggies or breakfast meats of choice. But instead of doing it in a big pan, you could actually do it in muffin tins, and then they just pop right out. And then again, you can either put them in foil or in a Ziploc bag and either freeze them or keep them in the fridge. And that's a really cool thing to have on a picnic. It's really fun. And again, if you do have little ones in your house, they get to pick what kind they like and what stuff that they like to put in there. Maybe a little cheese on top if they're eating that. So it can be really fun. One thing that I did want to mention that I feel like has been really helpful for me is how I start my day. And this occurred to me this morning, and right now as I have my little green drink here, if I start my day, and this is just greens, an apple, and some parsley and water. It's like a 20-second, it's like just already done. But if I start my day with something like a green drink, I am infinitely more likely to go ahead and make healthier choices throughout the rest of the day, as opposed to if I have a bagel or maybe egg with toast or something like that. Or skip breakfast. things get crazy if I skip breakfast because I'm just trying to catch up all day. It's not a good scene. And so this is a really nice thing to do in the summertime. You can add frozen blueberries, frozen grapes. It's really refreshing. It's very cooling. It travels well, and you get a nice pick-me-up from the energy of the greens. And so again, so choosing what you start your day with can have a huge impact around how you end up showing up for your nutrition choices the rest of the day. And then the last piece that I wanted to offer today is something that Sarah and I were talking about, which is this idea of loving your body no matter what it looks like. We absolutely pass down our hangups onto our kids. Even if our kids aren't saying anything about it, they're registering how we talk about our body. There's a lot of research that's showing that kids as young as 5 and 6 years old are already having body image issues at this point. It's partially because of the images that they see, not only of adults, but of kids their age, posing and strutting, and kids of celebrities wearing certain stuff and heels at 4 years old. And it was actually interesting when I was looking for this picture. I just wanted a picture of a mom in a bikini, and you should see the pictures that were on Google Images. It was all like a lot of work done and sucking in bellies and like certain angles with the selfie to get it just right. And I thought that was so fascinating that it was actually impossible for me to find a regular looking woman in a bathing suit. And that's why I found this one, because I think this really drives home the point of wear your skin proudly. Not only for your own person, but because the people around you are receiving that energy and that input as well. And it has a huge impact from very, very little. What we think, what we say, if we're at the pool and somebody's trying to take a picture, are we sucking in? Do we have to cover up? Do we talk about the parts of our body that we hate? And if there's a part of your body that it's just been a problem area, or it's just a part that doesn't feel good to you, then rather than try to convince yourself that it's okay, why not focus on the part of you that you do like the sparkle in your eyes, or the fantastic smile that you have, or how cute your toes are, or so where we where we focus our attention is what we're going to invite more of into our awareness. And so refocus away from those places that make you kind of cringe or that we don't feel good about, as you're on this path to full acceptance of, this is my brilliant body that is always supported in my spine, and that my feet carry me where I want to go, and that my organs know exactly what they need to do in order for my brain to work and for me to take breath and digest food. And isn't that miraculous? And so kind of, but sometimes it can be a little bit of a journey between wherever we are today and getting to that place of absolute acceptance and love and honoring of our bodies. But these are just some tricks to help us get there. And if this is something that you are working on, just in the meantime, be real mindful around the verbal messaging that you're sharing, either with friends and peers or with kiddos that might be in your space.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I love this concept. I read a really great article, which kind of sparked this whole idea. It was called "Put Your Damn Bathing Suit On." And I thought it was so awesome. And it was basically saying, these fun summer months, many moms sit on the sideline while and don't go out and play with their kids because they're just kind of in their heads about the way that they look in a bathing suit. But what is more beautiful than a woman really owning their shape and being super confident? And then to kind of bring it full circle, when we start to, and I like how you said it's a journey, right? It's really a journey, and something that we need to practice and remember. And it doesn't happen overnight. But when we start to change kind of the view on our personal body and how we talk to ourselves about the way our body looks and what we focus on, then we actually feel more empowered to show up and feed ourselves right. Mm-hmm. So it becomes this kind of chicken or the egg, which one came first, in the sense of when we're really practicing positive body image, then we are way more motivated to eat well and to exercise and do all the things that make us feel good, versus when we're in that state of self-berating and, why me, poor me, and I hate my body, et cetera, et cetera. Then of course, when the chips come out, like, well, and then we're probably going to go for them more likely. Yeah, I think that it's a good message also to pass on to the little ones as well. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Cool. Well, do you want to go on this one, start, or?
Sure. Yeah. So if you're interested in what the work that we do or connecting with us more, there's a couple of different ways you can do that. For me, I certainly post pretty regularly on Facebook. It's just Dr. Nicola. We have a newsletter that comes out about once a month, so hopefully not too much of a bombardment in your email box. So you can sign up for that at our website, which is puravitahealthcare.com. And then I always offer a complimentary free 15-minute consult, either in person or by phone, if you're interested in learning more about naturopathic medicine or something in particular sparked your curiosity. I'm always happy to chat with folks.
So I do a variety of different work, from working one-on-one with people to several online programs. And one of our favorite online programs, who I run with another integrative nutritionist health coach, Karen, is a Clean Living Club. And the idea of the Clean Living Club is to create a like-minded community around accountability and support to keeping with the health practices that we know make us feel good. And there's a lot of aspects to this club. There's a weekly meal plan, a monthly meal plan that goes out. There's a monthly live coaching call. There's many different aspects between an app to a private Facebook group that you can get constant support and accountability, both from the community as well as from Karen and I. There's training modules, there's handouts. Every month we have a new challenge that people participate in to kind of like hone in on one health skill. So there's all of these different aspects, and really the base is it's the 3 pillars to health: clean eating, movement, and mindfulness, and then answering the question, why do we do what we do when we know what we know? And if we believe it's support and accountability, the club is for that support and accountability. And it's an all online program. It's really, really fun. And there's so many great recipes in there, and meal plans, and ways to just make all of these health practices more sustainable. And so this month we're doing a lot around the club. And actually at the middle of June, we're lifting the price because the content is really starting to grow. So right now it's $15 a month, and it's going to go up to, I think, like 22 or 23 a month. So get in while the price is still a little bit lower. We'd love to have you in there. If you have any questions, you're welcome to contact me directly about that. I'm happy to talk more about it, or set you up with chatting with somebody who's in the club right now and see what they feel on it. But saying that, I'll send out the link to that in the follow-up email with the recording. Yeah, and thanks so much for joining us. So we always like to leave a little time for a live Q&A. I'm going to unmute the people that are on the call. If you guys have any questions, or maybe even questions, if you have anything that you would like to add that are some of kind of your favorite tips and tricks that you use to keep your health practices sustainable during the summer, we'd love to hear. Crickets. Cool. We'll give you a couple minutes, but if we're always here. Feel free to hit reply to the email, the recording, the email that will come out after, once I upload this recording. And we are more than happy to kind of answer those questions. Bless you. And we always really appreciate you all on the call, and thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, if we can answer any questions, be resource for you in any way, let us know. And as always, if there's any other topics that you want to hear about, that you want to dive a little deeper into, or you're not sure about, we'd be happy to solicit ideas and kind of meet you where you're at.
Yeah, totally. That's a great, I love doing these webinars. And so, if you would like a certain topic, let us know, because we're always into getting new ideas of kind of what to chat on. Yeah. Awesome.
I just want to say thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, lots of good tips. I loved it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. We really appreciate it. We know the time is precious.
Yes. Awesome. Well, everyone, you all have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.